I want to switch gears a little bit because I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my old friend and someone who you consider a friend as well, Tupac Shakur. You know, the way I know you is because you were an incredible writer for Vibe magazine, and you did some of the most really impactful interviews with Tupac. You had such a great connection with him, and you guys really were able to talk man to man. And I think one of the reasons why Tupac responded to you, because I have a book coming out and I talk about the fact that when I hung out with Pac, thank you, babe, but I talk about when I hung out with Pac, I was able to be Little Brown Bevy, and I met Tupac Shakur. Like, I met the guy who wrote The Rose Grows in Concrete. Like, I didn't meet I met the I Get Around guy first, but then I met the sensitive poet of him, that side of him. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about the biography that you're working on about Pac.
I am working on this biography. I mean, first of all, no one could have told me, and Bev, you know, I was in the first season of MTV's The Real World back in '92, way back in the day when I think about it. I had no idea that Tupac Shakur was watching me on that show as I was watching him with Digital Underground and his first solo album, and, you know, him in that incredible performance in Juice. And so when we met at a Jack the Rapper conference a year later, '93, I was nervous to go approach him, you know, because I was like, man, you know, and I was with Carla Radford, our sister from Vibe, you know, but I had talked Vibe, and so I was like, I got to write about Tupac. And it's funny you mentioned Snoop, because I brought to Vibe, I thought, well, this is who I want to write about next. And they were like, well, can you write about Snoop first? Because Snoop was the biggest rapper in the country at the time because of the Chronic album, as you remember. And, you know, Carla being who she is, bold and everything, went up to Pac around a whole bunch of people and said, hey, Tupac, you need to meet Kevin Powell. He wants to write about you. Tupac spins around and tells me that he's a fan of who I am. It blew my mind. Little did I know, Bev, that 20, almost 30 years later, I have spent all this time, not only the 3 cover stories I did on Tupac for Vibe, the 4th cover story I did was for Rolling Stone because I was in Vegas when he died, which was one of the saddest days of my life. I will never forget it. It was so sad. I did not go back to Vegas again until 2019. That's how sad it was for me, you know, traumatizing. But, you know, I feel a special kinship to Tupac. You know, both of us raised by powerful, single black women. God bless Fanny Shakur, his mother, because there's no Tupac without him, just like there's no me without my mother. You know, I mean, shout out to single mothers out there, just black mothers in general. And, you know, I made a commitment to him. He said to me when the first interview, I want you to be Alex Haley to my Malcolm X. I remember thinking to myself, well, what if I want to be Malcolm X?
Right, exactly.
I trust you with my story, and I have taken that responsibility so seriously. I didn't know I would still be attached to him all these years later. I didn't know as we approach, you know, him turning 50 next year, Beth, you know, that I would be working on this book for years and years, that I would start and stop it. Sometimes I was like, I can't do this. I got to do something else. I can't be here. But I feel like as I've seen all this stuff, because there's so much stuff, as you know, about Pac on the internet, and I'm glad you're telling your story. And I know Carla's telling her story. I mean, we have to tell people like us who really are cultural protectors need to tell the real stories about people that we've encountered, and even tell our stories, because we have become walking historians of our beloved hip-hop culture, as you well know. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like when I see you out there in the media, I mean, I know that you are an authentic voice for us, and that's what Tupac was. He was an authentic voice for us. Yep, he had his issues. We all got our issues. God knows I got my issues, and I definitely talk about that stuff in the book. But I said, let me write a biography. You know, I'm working on it. I'm in the middle of it. It's a lot of work, like a lot of work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Where I can really paint the whole picture of him, you know, because he was a Gemini and all that. He's the son of a Black Panther, and he was born in Uptown. He's born in Harlem. He lived in the South Bronx, and I've literally, said, let me just piece this all together in a way. And I've learned so much that I didn't even know about Tupac. And I cannot wait, Bev, and I'll come back to your show when this book finally comes out in a year or so and share it with you all, because I can't wait to share this book and what I've learned about him.